can I make things better with the organization? But the organization, you said, ended up making you better. What did you mean by that?
I think those things happen simultaneously. You're trying to come in and bring experience and passion to improve and look at your processes, do all those things that any leader does in the organization. But a lot of it is about you growing and really stepping back and recognizing all the great things that your employees do, that your students do, that your families do. And what can I learn from that?
Welcome back to Like-Minded Servants with me, Cecil Graves, where leaders and entrepreneurs come to get better every day. Today, I've got a special guest, Mr. Hollis Milton. He is a local principal at West Feliciana High School, or actually the entire school. He's over 400 plus employees, so I'm excited to get in to my convo with him today. Welcome, Hollis.
Hey, thank you for allowing me to come on, and I appreciate your investment in leadership growth. We all need to grow, and it helps our organizations, and growing professionally and personally is what we do.
Yeah, and I've known that about you since you came to St. Francisville, and then after just seeing your posts and how you flow with your team and your students, dressing up in costumes, and you do it all, man. There's nothing you're missing as far as that goes. Just like anybody, before we get started, could you give our listeners a little background, your family? And I know you're currently caring for your father, so how about a little info on that?
Yes, sir. Thank you. I'm a husband of 29 years to my lovely wife, Nikki Milton. I have two children, Eli and Anna Milton, and I am the caretaker for my father. I grew up in Hammond. I was very, very fortunate to have wonderful parents, and my mom passed away this last May of 2023. She was caretaker for my dad. And I promised her, because I knew it meant so much to her when she was really sick, and said, Mom, I'm going to take care of Dad now. I'm not going to spoil him like you, but I am going to take care of him. And I will tell you, it's been a joy. And sometimes just a reminder to all of us, especially with your family and your loved ones, people you care about, it's your time that counts more than anything else. Just being with them, just enjoying them. And I truly have been blessed to be able to spend a lot of time with my dad, take care of him, and we already had a strong bond. But it's incredible, even when I look back in the last 8 or 9 months, just how much stronger our bond has grown. And so grateful to come from a family that taught me hard work, taught me to put my family first. And everything that I do, look out for my family, take care of them, and lean on my faith. And especially lean on your faith when you can't lean on anything else. Lean on your faith. It will take you through this journey. And love is everything, and just have gratitude. So come from a good family. It's really helped shape me in my life.
Yeah, you talking about your dad, probably the vulnerability level has gone up tremendously, I would think, with having to help him. Do you feel like that's what's growing y'all's relationship further?
Absolutely, absolutely. I think there was always trust, obviously, but when someone depends on you for just basics and things of that nature, and because of their age and the vulnerability with that,
Mm.
I notice it being a difference, and I notice that there's even more confidence. That the more that I do, the more confident he is that I can take care of him. And again, my mom took care of him so well and did everything, and for me to step in was just a huge change, a huge shift. So I understood that it would take him a while to even really see that, hey, maybe I can do a lot of these things, never to the degree that she could do them, but to a degree that we could move forward and get things taken care of, and then just try to enjoy some time together.
Go back to training dad. What do they say? When you're a baby, we're training them as a baby, and then as they go back to older folks, we go back to training again. Okay. So you arrived, I didn't really know a firm year when we met for lunch just because I was blowing and going at the dealership. So I didn't even really get to dive into who you were, why you were coming to West Feliciana, what you wanted to achieve. But I'm kind of grateful I didn't because you've got a pretty powerful story. We'll get into some of those topics today. But so you arrive in West Feliciana 2010. Can you maybe put it in a capsule, a little bit about your journey from Hollis 2010 to Hollis 2024? What's different?
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, just to start off, and it's God's plan. I had no idea that I would wind up in West Feliciana. It was a beautiful parish. Had been up here many times. Beautiful place. But I was a principal in Baton Rouge, and I'd been recruited to be a superintendent in another parish. Kind of as a legacy of a superintendent who wanted to sort of choose their successor. And I'd worked on certification, done everything, and then I decided, no, I don't want to be a superintendent. I'm enjoying being a principal of a school, and I'm happy and I'm good. And I really was. I was just in a very good place. And I had some people call me and said, you ought to consider being superintendent in West Feliciana. And I was like, man, it's a beautiful place, but I've already decided I'm just going to stick to being a principal where I am. And they kept prodding. And the thing that changed me, and I got to give them credit, they brought me to Christmas in the country in St. Francisville. And we came, and I had two small children, I had a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old, and I recognized what an awesome community. I'd be crazy not to try to take this on. And so it was the job that I worked really hard through interviews and all. It takes a while in that superintendency to be hired. You're interviewed quite a bit by the community, school board, and others. But it would have been the job I'd have been so disappointed in had I not received it. But if you had asked me a few months before that, I went from zero to interest to everything. The reason I say that, all of that backstory is I got here in 2010. This community has been everything that I thought it would be and even more. It's brought me so much personal and professional growth. It's a community that you obviously know so much about. It's everybody's looking out for everybody. The school system is a community school system. And so we're the heartbeat of the community. And with that, it just builds a great place for children to grow up when everybody's looking out for them, everybody's pulling for them. As you know, a Friday night here in West Feliciana is just special with a big time football game. All of the community shows up, and you just have so many people praying for you, supporting you, and helping you. That's what leads to the great success in West Feliciana. And I'm just grateful to be a part of it over the last 14 years.
Yeah, I love that. And 14 years, man, it flies by. I'm telling you, it seems like I was just, shaking your hand, putting you in a gray GMC Sierra, like just wanting you to be successful up there. And then here we are having lunch the other day, and now we're on a podcast talking about reflecting of what God's done for us. And two people, my wife, I talked about this in our morning devotional, and then another insurance agent this morning. But we keep looking for trust in God. And through those difficult times, we can start looking over our shoulder and realizing there's two other sets of footprints in the sand with us. And that's where we get our confidence from, because it's like, man, during that really tough time and during coming to West Feliciana, and I messed that up, superintendent, I called you, principal when we started. Like you've gone through such an incredible journey that you can look back and go, man, he's got me and he can get the next guy. And it's such a powerful story. You mentioned to me that I think as you came in, you were thinking, how can I make things better with the organization? But the organization, you said, ended up making you better. What did you mean by that?
I think those things happen simultaneously. It's really neat. I mean, you're trying to come in and bring experience and passion to improve and look at your processes, do all those things that any leader does in the organization. but a lot of it is about you growing and really stepping back and recognizing all the great things that your employees do, that your students do, that your families do, and what can I learn from that? What can I learn from them that I can model and I can truly understand? And by doing those things, I think both of those things happen together. I think in order to be successful, you have to continue to grow and allow your organization to provide a lot of mechanisms to give you that professional growth while you're also influencing the organization to continue to change and adapt and make improvements. So I've learned so much from this place. And look, a lot of it is simply put, it's the gift of love.
Mm.
Any organization and your organization, what you do every day, there's a lot of love behind that. And in my organization, it's the same way. And love has a compelling way of teaching us so many things in life about ourselves, about what we can do differently, how we can be a better person. And a big part of our system that we talk about all the time, and we constantly say this, we're here to make good things happen for other people.
Yeah.
And if you think about that in your organization, that's a lens that you have. We all do a few different things, few different services, but truly, what is it about? That organization's trying to help people make better things happen for them. And I think this organization has done the same thing for me as I'm out there saying, "Hey, we're going to make good things happen for other people." The organization actually made good things happen for me and my family as well.
Mm. That's phenomenal. Yeah, it's when any business, whenever I'm coaching them, I'm asking them, how do your services, your products serve other people? Because we all have to be a salesperson. You have to sell teachers to come up there and work for you. But they really need to be focused on, how is this serving others? Because we just need to let it work. We just need to be good vessels for God to work through. I'm kind of selfish on wanting to know, you lead over 400 plus employees, right?
Yes, sir.
Tell me about the system that you and the school have developed over the years to make that system work. Do you meet with 10 key people to make this work? Are you meeting with all 400 employees? How does the school function?
Absolutely. And I think a lot of that is being visible all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I can learn as much in the grocery store about how the school system's performing in all areas by going to the grocery store, by being at church, by being visible in our community. One of my favorite things to do every morning, I don't want to say every morning, but I do it 2 to 3 times a week, is I'm in the carpool line at Baines Elementary, getting kids out of cars, greeting parents. You want people to trust you and to have that visibility that they will come and talk to you about what's going well and what do we need to improve upon. And that's the same way with your employees. If your employees see that, hey, you're going to go out there, if you see trash on the ground, if the restroom needs to be cleaned, or kids need to get out of cars, or whatever it is, you're willing to do those things too. That they see you as someone that has a title, but also a moral passion about making the organization work for everybody, and someone that's not better than anybody. So decisions are made in many ways very horizontally, meaning as much information as I can gather, as my leadership team can gather from working with parents, students, employees, and taking that and putting that together. So it's definitely not top down. I would say the organization is fairly flat in that way, and a lot of that is from just reaching out and really listening to people, really hearing their voice and saying, as you take in all that input, what can we do about it, and how do we continually adapt to be better?
Do you feel like what I'm hearing is awareness? Do you feel like that's what helps your awareness and also their awareness, because you're leading by example? Even the most simplistic thing, getting a 10-year-old or a 5-year-old out of the car from their parents, to picking up gum wrappers that drop out of their backpacks, to listening to them in the grocery store, in the post office, at church, it gives you a sense of, is what we're doing working, or am I slipping in an area? Do we need to shed some light on this area to give you a healthy awareness? It seemed like the two awarenesses complement each other.
That's right. That's right. And I think sometimes for leaders, part of what makes a leader is you have this drive, and it can be ambitious. It can be a lot of things they can all be very positive if you channel it correctly. And I will tell you, one of the things that I have learned from our organization, I think this is just some maturation on my part, and I've heard this proverb that might simplify it, but if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, bring others with you.
Mm.
And sometimes as a leader, we feel pressure, we feel this ambition, we need to make this change, or we need to do this or that. And we're busy and we're going so fast, we're going very fast, but we're by ourselves.
Mm.
The true mark of change and really good implementation is you go very far and reaching. And the only way you can do that is you bring others with you. We are all interdependent. And with 400 employees, I can go out there and run really fast, but get too far ahead of my troops. I really need to constantly have conversations with them to make sure that we are steering in the right direction, but they all have buy-in and they're coming with us, and they know that why. Like you mentioned, that moral compass and purpose and understanding. And I believe that really helps you, especially when things are difficult. And when sometimes a change or a new endeavor is really hard, if folks know that you're with them, you're not getting too far ahead of them, you're listening, you're trying to adapt, I think that's the better way, the long-term approach to getting where you need to be.
Yeah, John Maxwell says it pretty well. He says, if you're finishing a race alone, you're just out for a walk. But if you finish the race together, then that's a successful race. Because we can go out there and do a lot of things on our own, but it just is not fulfilling. God did not wire us to do things by ourselves and do things for money. People say that money is the root of all evil, and it's not. It's a tool. It's the love of money. The entire time while we were having lunch that day, and obviously I know this is what you lead with. You talk a lot about positivity, and I tell this to people all the time. I say, hey, look, you're the average of the 5 people you surround yourself with, and you're going to probably have to either have some bold conversations with those negative people, those negative family members, the negative team players, for course correction. But at some point, if it's affecting your positivity and the team's positivity, you've got to move on. What are you intentional with in your day? Just, is it gratitude? What is it? What keeps you positive? Because you're always smiling. I wouldn't even know what you look like frowning, but you're always smiling. You're always positive. You definitely understand the impact it has on others. But why do you do that?
Well, look, I'll tell you, one of the things that I'm so fortunate to do is I can go out to the schools, and I need to go out for quality control, walk in the buildings, learning, seeing what our challenges are. But a big part of what helps me is when I'm going, a big aspect of that, I just want to see the joy on teachers and kids' faces.
Mm-hmm.
If I can see children smile and they're happy, that gives you the opportunity to self-correct your own perception, because negativity can wear you down, and you need things to fuel you and need to see the bigger picture to really be able to see that a lot of times things are really going well. You may have a challenge, you may have an issue, and you need to address it. You need to fix that, but all is not lost. And as a matter of fact, many times when we step back in life, in our perspectives, many times so many things are going right in our life, right in our organization. That doesn't downplay if there's a challenge, but it doesn't need to create a negative perception or picture of what we're looking at. And I just try to find a sense of gratitude. Look, I'm grateful to be alive every day. I look at things, if my family's healthy, if they're doing pretty well, I can manage the other stuff. And for leaders, for you, we're all kind of that man in the arena sometimes. And sometimes you just got to remind yourself of that sometimes it's natural for folks to just second guess you or be skeptical. What you have to know is, are your fundamentals right? If the fundamentals are right, the long-term game is going to be one. It's going to be successful. Whatever your core mission is, if you stick to your fundamentals and you do it every day, you do it with a positive attitude, it's going to turn out okay.
Mm.
And I find that more and more people recognize that, and eventually some of those folks who were skeptical turn into being cheerleaders, and that's a really neat piece. And you should never remind them of that, just by the way. But you know what? As soon as they change, be grateful and recognize you did something very powerful. That now those folks who may have naturally did not have that confidence in you now have this great confidence. And sometimes those folks turn out to be your biggest cheerleaders long term. So there could be a lot of advantages to that.
Yeah, when that confidence shows up, I don't know if well, I mean, obviously you do feel it. They become so much more easily led because there's so much more buy-in. And for us to have an expectation that in 2010 that type of stuff was going to show up in the first year, as leaders, we understand that it doesn't. It takes a while to get buy-in for your troops to have confidence in you. Since we're on positivity, I know I didn't put it in the notes, but would you like to share a little bit about one of the students that you kind of took in to help and that you've mentored? Maybe the stresses of it, a little bit of feeling from that, because I didn't even know you had done that. When you started talking and we were having salads and 15 people were passing our table knowing you more than me, I was like, man, this guy's like, I'm sitting with Mickey Mouse eating lunch. Like everybody knows you. But you brought up that one story, and it can be lightly shared, whatever you feel like sharing, but it was impactful to me, and I know that will impact a dad's heart somewhere out there.
Absolutely. So I've mentored numerous students throughout the years as a teacher, as an assistant principal, and even a superintendent. But I had never taken a child in my home and taken over custody over a child, and that was a total sea shift. Our families are kind of our solace. It's our place of solitary. We go home where we have this unconditional love and support, and there's a rhythm to our families, right? There's a predictability. So when we took a child in, it changed a lot of our rhythm and a lot of our predictability. And the child has been a really good child. We took this, when I say a child, he's 18 now, but we took him in when he was 16. Well, we took in a teenager. We all know what teenagers can be like. But what you found from the relationship is that as much as we were helping this child, it taught us so much about ourselves. It gave a much deeper understanding and reflection of who we were as a family, who we were as individuals in the family. And it made me better. First Corinthians, I think it's chapter 13 that always talks about, it's what you hear when folks get married, love is patient. Well, when you bring in a teenager and you're having to really examine yourself and go, gosh, I'm bringing this child in. They don't know our rhythms and our patterns, and they've got to adapt, but I also too, and I've got to be patient. And that's what God teaches me to do. And that's one of the best ways that I can show love. That's easier said than done. But we have managed, and the child has flourished, and he's doing well. And we're hoping to steer him into a life of whatever he does. He makes his own circumstance better because he did come from some challenging circumstances. But where the beauty is, I believe that he will make others, that positive impact on others. And I think that's as much of a blessing as to see what it's done for him and also for our family and the lessons we've learned, I think the future is bright because he's going to be planting seeds in other places that we will see at some point. Those seeds become trees, beautiful trees, and to see the fruition of that work, that investment.
Yeah, I know that accountability and him, when you first dive into something like that, it feels good. Like we're going to do this. This is right. God would want me to do this. But when we're there, it's like, man, I'm in F-15 and I didn't get the instructions, but the accountability shows up and pushes us whether we're like it or not. But that's how that last feeling when you were telling me that story was like, man, it's not me and Hollis. Like we're able to take this story and feel this right now. But think about the story, like you said, his legacy that he's going to be able to pass down from generation to generation because he saw a kindness and love that he may otherwise never got to see from a parent that you gave him, and you did plant a seed. And whether it comes out a year from now or 10 years from now, it's definitely going to come up at some point, and he'll be able to give back to that next fella that's maybe 16 years old and maybe he can't have kids. And then all of a sudden this 16-year-old kid shows up and he's like, you know what? Mr. Hollis, nicest guy in the world, did this for me. I can strap on and do this. And he can lean into you for mentorship from helping him. Like,
yeah, I love it. I love it.
Isn't that amazing?
It is. It is. And it's unconditional love. Every kid deserves unconditional love. We all deserve, unconditional love. And I'm grateful for God for giving us that. And we also have to show that to others. Right. And I think when you take a child in like that, what you're really showing them is unconditional love and grace and kindness. And that brings about such a peace and such a change in someone. And it's been great. We've been a part of it, and it's been fun. And look, having 3 teenagers at home is a lot of fun. It is a little bit like a roller coaster ride, but sometimes when you're on that roller coaster ride, you have to step back and go, just enjoy the ride. You don't always control where it's going,
right?
But it's going to end well,
right? Do y'all? And then we'll wrap this part of the episode up. But I just have always a question for dads, especially high-level fathers that are functioning, not only raising their family, but you're helping raise other families by what you're doing. Is there any things that you do with your family during the week, on weekends, morning, evening, something special that is just, I guess, somewhat a controllable during the week that if this happens, that everything's going to be okay? Maybe a light post, as you put it.
Yes, sir. So I think it's just finding something that you all can agree on, manage. When the kids were young, we would do a little high-low right before we would eat, but they were younger children and we can control that. And when they get a little older and teenagers, they started to get bored with that. And I recognize we got to change our strategies. So a lot of times we find one TV show that we can watch. We'll eat a dinner and we'll watch that show. And I know that they're moving on to video games, streaming, or whatever teenagers do, but trying to find 30 minutes of connectivity. And if you could set that as a goal, you may be way beyond that, and that's awesome. But if you're not there, just trying to figure out what is some time that we can connect as a family, have a little light conversation, find something we can all agree to do. It might be a board game. It may be something else. But like I said earlier, and I think I've recognized, and it took a while, time means everything. It is the most valuable resource. It's not money that's the most valuable resource. It's our time with each other, and truly trying to find time where we turn everything else off, and we are, or whatever we need to do so we can just focus on each other and really hear each other. And I think if when families do that, I think everybody's boat is lifted, everybody's inspired. And I think those are the things when we reflect back in 20 years, those are the times we're going to remember.
Yeah. Yeah. And it probably, you were like this at first. I I thought there had to be this big couple of hours when people said, hey, man, be intentional with your family. Like, you need to do a little devotional in the morning. You need to do this in the evening. But it boils down to simplifying it. Again, I use the KISS method all the time, and I'll use the G version on here, the keep it simple student. But keeping it simple, being intentional with 15 to 20 minutes a day with them. If you add that up over a year and then add that up over the time you have with them, the 18, 20 years, that's pretty powerful. That's better than getting overwhelmed with it and just not doing anything at all.
Absolutely. And especially as they get older, when they're younger, you have a lot more control over that because of just the nature of their age, and they're looking to you so much, which is a beautiful time. As they get older, that they're being pulled in a lot of ways. And so it's fair to recognize that just because that's part of them becoming independent. And yet, like you said, keep it simple. Don't overdo it. Try to just find and value whatever time you can get with them. Just make it really good time.
Well, let's wrap up this first episode, and we're going to come back with Hollis and finish this up. I've got 4 topics, questions that I want to touch on with him that were pretty powerful in our conversation. It will not only help you as a father, as a mother, but it'll help you as a business owner, a leader, and we're all leaders. Wherever you're at today, you're leading somebody. As always, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, comment on any of your social media platforms. We're on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. I think that's it today. Give us a 5-star review. That's the best way you can help us grow. Until next time, go serve someone well today so we all get better together.